What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Guys, it's been a long time, very long time actually, that I visited or did a video over this country. We in Norway. It's been a long time since I done anything. Norway. Last time I did, I was watching Alt for Norge, and man, I missed it. I missed the show, man. And actually, I didn't finish the last season that I was watching, man. So I didn't even know who won. I got so busy and ended up not finishing the season. And I think I had like 2 or 3 episodes left. One of my favorite shows, man. I might have to resume those back. But we here in Norway, checking out just some different tips and tricks while visiting Norway. Wish I would have got a chance to visit Norway. That was the original plan, to visit Norway, but ended up, I wasn't going to be able to stay longer than I thought. Because at first, originally, my goal was to stay like 2 weeks, but then it turned into a week, so I had to pick 2. And I chose Denmark and Sweden. But maybe Norway's in my future. We'll see, but let's check out visiting Norway.
What's going on, everybody? This is Island Hopper TV. Today we're going to talk about the things to know when visiting Norway. Let's do this.
Shout out to the Island Hopper as well.
All right, let's talk about the affordability and the cost of visiting Norway. As you would imagine, as you've been told, it is expensive. The accommodation, though, I've seen.
Hey, that looked like the
120.
That looked like the hotel I stayed in Denmark. This is exactly, they might have one. This might be that one. This is exactly what it looked like when I stayed in Denmark. I did my Sweden, just things about Sweden. My thoughts on Sweden video in this type of hotel. Pretty nice, pretty comfortable, affordable.
Can be anywhere between $120 a night all the way up to $250, $300 even here in the winter. So it's much more affordable for the hotels than I even suspected,
or I even thought.
All right, here, let's talk about the currency, the krona. If you're coming to Norway to spend your euros, you're not going to get very far. Most of Scandinavia keeps their own currency. They don't use the euro, but here it's definitely the krona, Krone. Also, there is 5.2 million people living in Norway. Some other interesting things
it do look real nice
about
out there.
Norway. It is a long country that extends north to south, but also has a width that is largest width is in the south. But it is a tale of two different countries.
I could have made it to Oslo.
In the south, they get a warmer climate. In the east, they get a flat land with forest. In the west, they have the fjords. And then in
the fjords. Yeah, that's why I said my original goal. I wanted to get to Oslo as well. Because Oslo is pretty close if I was to touch. I think it was going to be Copenhagen, Malmo, and then Oslo. Those like the 3 because they were kind of a little bit more closer to each other, so it would have been doable.
North, they have the Arctic climate, so it's a very diverse climate. You can get 4 seasons here, so I just wanted to point that out. That bird is really talking. Next up, let's talk about the nature. Some of the things that people come here for are the polar bears or the northern lights. Let's talk about those, or even the fjords. So there are no wild polar bears on the northern part
Look at the things
of Norway's mainland, but they are on islands. So Norway has them, they're just not on the mainland of Norway. So you're not going to get a polar bear walking across the street up in Tromso or something like this.
Oh, that's a good thing.
Now, if you're coming for the northern lights, you're going to get those up in Lofoton or Tromso in the north. Further south, they're rare, but they can be seen. Also, you're not going to get those in the summertime. So if you're coming for the northern lights, you need to come in the winter in particular if you really want the good luck. But late fall or early spring is when they...
I think that's one of my goals in life. That's on my bucket list, to see those northern lights, or really just experience Scandinavia in the winter time. And I don't usually do the cold, but I think it would be nice to just experience that once at least.
So the summertime, remember the midnight sun. Right now it's 10 p.m. and you can see it's still sunny.
Oh yeah,
that's Norway.
That was the same when I was in Yeah, it was really both. It was more so. I think I was walking around that time too in Denmark, but in Sweden, I was inside by around that time. 'Cause it was a little rainy. It was a little rainy days, just a little bit. But yes, I noticed the sun didn't go down till like 11 or 12 p.m. But it was up. It was back up right at like 3, like 2 or 3. Especially like my first night in Sweden, I was looking. I'm like, okay, it's like 11 o'clock, but it still looked like lights were on. It didn't even look like the sun was still up, but it was really the sun kind of still up. It wasn't really down yet. And then eventually it went down, but like 2 hours later it was right back up. It was weird, dude, seeing that. It was cool though.
And when it comes to the fjords, those are on the west coast. Here in Bergen is a great place to go. Even Oslo, you can get some. So checking around there is a great way to do that. Now, when it comes to food, I would say that food is
Fish and
pricey.
chips.
Definitely taxis are expensive. There is no Uber. There is no Lyft. They do have a ride-sharing application in Oslo, but I haven't tried it here in Bergen.
Ride share.
So overall, I would say the cheapest way to get around, public transportation, staying outside of the city center and hotels, those are the kind of ways to save money. But eating out in Norway, it will get you. Taking taxis in Norway will get you. So be mindful of that. All right, let's talk about safety. A lot of people want to know about this subject. Now, when it comes to safety in Norway, it is considered one of the safest countries in all of the world. You will definitely feel safe here. Even at 10 o'clock, as I'm walking around right now, I don't really feel like there's a threat anywhere around me. If you go hiking in the forest or in nature, there's no real threats out there.
That's a good thing.
Even in the waters here, not a lot of threats. So it's overall a very relaxing experience in terms of safety.
So nice.
You don't have much to be concerned about. Like I said, petty crime, not really a thing. Violent crime very rarely happens, and when it does, people are like very devastated and shocked by it. So yes, you can be a solo traveler, solo female traveler, even walking around at night and not really have too much to be concerned about other than just basic precautions.
That building almost looked like the building I seen in Denmark. Denmark has some unique buildings as well.
Here's a look at some of the living quarters here.
Yeah, dang, that's pretty cool. Yeah, Denmark was another place. Like those buildings kind of look like some of the apartment complexes in Denmark.
These apartments,
or at least just unique structures of it, I'll say.
Now, when it comes to planning your vacation or your trip to Norway, you're going to want to make sure you book your train travel ahead of schedule.
Facts.
Also, your hotels in the small towns, make sure you also book those ahead of schedule, because they do book quickly in the small towns where the fjords are. So make sure you get ahead of schedule on your cruise and ferry tickets, your train tickets, especially to the smaller, more hidden gems, and your hotels in those small towns. You don't want to get to the small town and then find out that it's already booked by the time you got there, and there's no place for you to stay. Now, when it comes to what to wear in Norway, it's really going to depend on the season. If you come during the summertime, I would say you should pack clothes that resemble Four Seasons style packing. That means a sweater and a raincoat along with shorts and sneakers. Okay, because the weather can do what they say, all four seasons in one day in any given place in Norway. Now, in the wintertime, skip the shorts. You're not going to need shorts, obviously. We're talking way up here in terms of latitude. In fact, if you look at a map, they're even higher up than the UK, Scotland. It's up above all of that. We're in Scandinavia, so up here, we're close to the Arctic. And in the wintertime, it's going to get bone-chilling cold, especially as you get closer to the Arctic. It gets very cold, so you're going to want to pack for extreme cold temperatures. But because of the midnight sun,
even when I was in Europe, it was that weather. It was tricky. It was tricky because I had a sweater, either a hoodie on or like just a regular jacket. I had to keep taking that thing on and off because at one point the sun was just beaming, then another point it was cold, wind blowing, and it almost reminded me of the crazy Texas weather for a minute.
In the summertime, I would recommend bringing some sort of eye mask
Oh yeah, I had to
Also,
bring
in the
more.
wintertime, expect a lot of darkness because it's the polar opposite of what they get in the summertime. Lots of sun in the summer, lots of darkness in the wintertime. So prepare.
Dang.
And some more important
Oh,
facts about Norway. There is 5.3 million people in the country altogether. Now, they do have an island way up in the Arctic Circle also that is considered
that.
part of Norway called Svalbard. And this is actually where you'll see
Oh, I
the
feel like
Arctic
I heard about
foxes,
that.
the walruses, and the polar bears. Now, when you are talking
That
about
looked
the
too
language
cold
that
at
they
first.
speak here, that's important to know because it's an old Germanic language, but it is known as Old Norse. So
Oh,
this
the
is an old
Norse.
Norwegian language, and the whole language of in and of itself is called Norwegian. But have no fear, they do speak plenty of English. Almost everyone I encountered spoke
Yeah,
English. That is basically the universal language all across
that's
Scandinavia.
always
Now,
good.
why do they call it Norway? Well, it's an old English word for the North Way, the way to the north. That's why they call it Norway.
Mm.
You could also say Norse way, Norse.
I feel like
Norse
that's the
is
first time I
north.
heard that.
So a Norseman is a northern man. Makes sense, right? They're way up here in the
Norseman.
north,
Norse.
near the Arctic Circle. And when it does come to food, expect lots of fish to be available because they
Fish.
have the North Sea, the Norwegian Sea, and they also are close to the Baltic. So plenty of
I
different
love
fish
fish. Whoa,
varieties
what
for
type
your
of fish was
palate.
that?
Also, they do eat reindeer up here. I had a reindeer sausage. They also love
Oh yeah, I
bread and dough
forgot.
products. I noticed that everywhere I went in the morning, there was plenty of
Mm.
croissants, lots of pizza at every 7-Eleven or any corner store. So people live off of dough
I honestly thought pizza was everywhere. Everybody eat pizza. Every corner store got a slice of
up
pizza
here
nowadays.
quite frequently as well as fish. And with that being said, they do say that Norwegian
Type of
salmon
fish
is
or
among
dog?
the best in the world. Let's talk about the Vikings because
Ooh,
this is something that's become very
Viking
popular
age.
over the years with all the movies about Odin and Thor. Let's talk about this. So, Scandinavia, in and of itself, is where the Vikings are said to have come from. This was before 1000 AD. Now, the place they lived was mostly Sweden, Norway. They made it all the way to Iceland
Iceland.
and
Reykjavik.
Greenland, where they set up new settlements. Some have even said that they discovered Newfoundland and called it Vinland. This was the
Vinland.
explorers Leifert Eriksson and his father Eric the Red, who were responsible for the Norsemen going in that direction towards the west and some areas around Denmark. But they also went into Scotland. Now, with that being said, you would almost think that
They were
Norway
everywhere, man.
appears to be the epicenter of where the Vikings were located. And you could probably say that is true. But it seems like between Sweden and Norway, most of the Vikings came from there, and they do have museums that go all the way
Okay.
back in time to.
Cause I think I went to a couple of museums. Did I go to No, I didn't go to a Viking museum in Denmark. I went or in Sweden. I went somewhere else. Um, I thought I seen some Viking stuff in one of those museums, and it might have been the one with the big ship.
The Viking
What is the
era.
Voss Museum?
Overall, I would say that Norway is definitely a place that you
Yeah, I
want
would
to
definitely.
visit.
I wish I would have
If you
went.
can, try to do a cruise. That seems like the best way to see Norway. But if you're not going to go on a cruise ship because that's not your thing, you would probably start in Oslo, and I would spend 48 hours in Oslo. It's a nice place. Then I would
Yeah, real
take a
nice.
plane to Bergen. I would spend 24 to 48 hours there. And then I
Bergen.
would go north and I would probably spend a couple days exploring around the fjords up in the north, around the Arctic Circle, especially Lofoton, Tromso, that whole area right there. And with all that being said, thanks everyone for watching this episode of Island Hopper TV about things to know when
Nice.
visiting Norway. We also made a couple travel guides from Bergen and Oslo as we head now east towards Sweden and Finland. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking it and subscribing to this channel. See you on the next one.
No, this was nice. This was nice. Definitely want to check out. I'm gonna have to check out his Denmark one too. But no, man, yeah, my original plan was to do all three, but I think, yeah, then too, I teach and coach now too, so that kind of came into play on that as well. Just because, man, I'm so busy, had to be back. I wouldn't mind. I'm gonna plan that next time for summer to at least stay 2 weeks, and then too, I got a family. It's hard to leave the fam, so, and it's expensive to take them, so. Your boy got to do some overtime over here, so hopefully I can make that happen to bring everybody over, which will be nice, which will be cool. I don't know how they will feel about the traveling, because I think the plane ride was the only thing that was like, but the train ride, I love the train rides and all that stuff. The metro, those were fine. It was just the plane ride. It was the longest thing I ever done. Too long. But that's all I have. Y'all make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. Hey, send down those recommendations. Norway, we back. I know it's, like I said, I know it's been a minute, but y'all send down those recommendations, man. Y'all be blessed, be the best, and be you. I'm out.